Hello there, welcome to the latest episode of the Data Radio Show. Security and data privacy is clearly a big deal for anybody who works within the data industry. It has to be, because it is so sensitive with the information that it's got. But AI offers some new challenges in that particular area. It might even end up being a major target of cyber criminals after people's personal information that some large language models have to use to do what it is that they're designed to do. So how do you set up guardrails around data security? That's what the conversation is today between Sam and Simon from Deepweaver. It's a fascinating look into, wow, the future that's here now in a way. So we're going to jump over there shortly, but before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can get updates from us all the time and check out some of our other great content. But also head over to our local school page. It's linked in the description below. There's a whole bunch of classrooms and you can interact with a whole bunch of industry leaders at the same time. And if you haven't already, sign up for the Data Pro newsletter, which is also in the description. That way you can have the latest information and news from the data industry direct to your inbox every week. All right, now let's jump over to that conversation between Sam and Simon.
So sixth on the list is robust security and data privacy. We've obviously all experienced or become aware of high-profile data breaches, especially in Australia in recent times with the banks. How can we ensure that AI systems, which are processing vast amounts of very sensitive data, don't become the next major attack vector for cyber criminals?
Yeah, and I think they are to some extent already, right? So if you think of a new attack vector around designing a way of working that tricks a model into making mistakes, especially some of the public models, that's already going on, right? At some level, right? So, if you're building a commercial AI model as a finance organization, you've got to have the basics: data anonymization, encryption through the whole AI pipeline, right? So even if you're using public and private data, you can't actually have these breakpoints where there is vulnerabilities, right? You're either encrypted end to end or you're not. I think your language model and all the data you use needs to be in a situation where you've pruned it and you can anonymize, but safely use the model for its intended purpose. The other thing to think about as a flip side to that is start using AI in your cybersecurity endeavors as well, right? So whilst it's useful in a whole lot of business processes, it's also a useful guardrail to have on top of your existing cybersecurity program, looking for things that aren't normally top of mind for any enterprise software that you've deployed to do that job, right? So, but definitely the basics around anonymization and encryption throughout is key. Using less, or telling people to use less of the publicly available models with commercially sensitive or private information. But it has, you did make a good point, Sam, it has opened up this extra attack surface that's sort of a Rubik's Cube. It doesn't reveal itself front on, it's sort of a side on. So by the time somebody's tricked a model and you've discovered it, you might be well down the track of using it for some time, right? So, but I always talk to clients about treat your AI programs as a pipeline and a business process, and treat the cybersecurity around that as an end-to-end capability. And if you can spin up some of these AI tools to start looking for anomaly detections, that would greatly help you, right?
Yeah, I guess proactive deployment becomes, I guess, one of the historic limitations that there have been around things like pen testing is, the cost to spin up, you know, people or organizations to actually test your security parameters. You now have an opportunity with AI agents and agentic workflows to do that for a fraction of the cost previously.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the reactive looking back is kind of the old way, right? That proactive, um, staying in front of it and moving at the speed that everything else is moving. And I think, to your point, Sam, all of those things were quite cost prohibitive for smaller organizations to build real sort of security, cybersecurity governance end to end. Now, I guess the speed humps have gone, right? The entry hurdle is a lot smaller. Um, so you'll see them taking advantage of it, whole or in part, quite rapidly. Right?
People are understandably always going to be concerned about the security of a system and their own data within that system. So it's a really important thing to remember as technology changes in the way we use technology, that those systems that we put in place have to make sure that they do the job really well. It's a fascinating topic. Anyway, make sure you check out the rest of the series that we've got between Simon and Sam. There's a whole bunch of really fascinating stuff in there about AI guardrails. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you can keep getting massive updates from us every time we bring out something new. All right, until next time, look after yourself, live long, prosper, be one with the Force, and we will catch you all next time.